Okay, so I think we're on part 3. Like, I'm having a gardening day today, and I thought I might get one job done today, and I have been smashing through. We've already looked at part 1, which was the fire pit, part 2, which was the mushroom bed behind me, and part 3, because I've been doing so well, I am going to put my little mini pond in. Now, I really love ponds, and a lot of people seem to have this idea in their head that, oh, if you want to put a pond in your garden, it's got to be like this big, like, pond liner that you've got to buy, and it's got to be this huge thing, and it's got to be a big deal, and it's got to have like, it doesn't have to be like a big thing. Again, same with the mushroom bed, when people like overthink, oh, it's got to be all lined up and it's got to be perfect, and the wood's got to be solid when you make a bed, and you just literally, it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's quite often this idea, this concept of perfect, that I find stops people from doing things. Now, in my experience, it's actually better for your garden to have lots of little ponds dotted around. So not just one big pond, but like lots of small ones. And somebody else put in one of the comments, so I will put a link in the description to the other videos of the fire pit and the mushroom bed, but also the bird bath that was in my old garden. So again, that's another thing that I really enjoy having as a bird bath, and it's always valuable to have like more than one of those. But somebody actually did put in one of the comments to the bird bath about this idea of having Pyrex dishes that they'd bought, I think like old ones from a charity shop or car boot sale, I can't remember what they said, and putting like little shallow ones with water and pebbles in so that insects can land on them as well, which I thought was really sweet. So that is something I am going to be implementing into this garden as well. But for today, I'm going to focus on this pond here, if you can see that one there. So I had a washing up bowl that I wasn't using. In my old house, I had 2 sinks. In this house, we have 1, so we don't need the other washing up bowl. So this is going to be my first pond. I brought with me some of the duckweed that was in the old house. I brought it in a little Ziploc bag. I was like, I'm not wasting all of that. It will spread in the old pond. I'm hoping that the people in the last house, in the last house that I was in, will keep the pond and see its value and not dismiss it as like just a, I think there is another video of me doing that one or showing you, and it was like an old cat litter tray that I wasn't using. The top had broken, so we just had the bottom. So the last pond that we had was just an old cat litter tray. I did wash it first, don't worry. So this one, I've decided where it's going to go. I have already filled it up with rainwater. I have put in some duckweed from my last pond, so it will have some like little bits of life in there from the last pond, which does help. It doesn't have to be started off with pond water from another pond, but if you do have a friend that happens to have a pond, or you're in a nature reserve, just take, like, you don't have to, like, I'm not saying go around and take gallons of water from like little other people's ponds. And always ask, or if it's in a nature reserve, just take a spoonful literally in a jar, like tiny little jars worth. It does help because it will have like tiny bits of life in it that will help to start your pond. And again, they don't have to be big. I am hoping to get one that's bigger than this, but this is my starter pond. I'm hoping, I think, to have, I would like to have at least 3 ponds in this garden, I think, and 2 big bird baths, and then again lots of the little Pyrex dishes. So that's my hope, that's my plan. And today you can watch me put this pond in. So yeah, let's go. I'm just gonna say, as I mentioned in my fire pit video, I don't have a spade. So if any gardening people leaves me a comment telling me that I shouldn't be making holes with shovels or forks, I am aware of this, but I currently don't have a spade. Okay, so my last spade broke. I haven't gotten around to buying another one. I am in the process of manifesting a spade. I would rather acquire one rather than pay for one. But at the moment, yes, I am using a shovel and I am using a fork. So I already know this. I already know. And actually, I did a very good job with my fire pit using the shovel and the fork. So I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm just basically doing a rough line. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It genuinely doesn't. I'm just doing a little rough space around the pond so I can see how big it is. I'm just going to dig that space out. I know that I want this pot to be here. I don't know why, I just do. I want that pot to be there. Are you having fun, Athena? Could you maybe move out of the way, please? Thank you. But what I do want to make sure is that I have space around the pond to put plants, stones and other things, so that there's coverage, because things like frogs and other life that's going to want to go in there, they are going to want to be able to hide. They're not going to want to be out in the open. So I'm hoping to have some, I did have some reeds somewhere. I think I may have accidentally left those in the old house. But anything really, maybe some, nettles, just plants that are going to cover it over, so that there's coverage, but nothing that's going to drop too many leaves in the pond, because you're going to have to keep fishing them out and disturbing the life that's in there. There are a few leaves in here at the bottom, just to create some, what's the word? It's going to do its thing in there. There's always life. If you think about the bottom of a pond, there is life at the bottom of a pond. There is mulch and smoosh at the bottom. So yeah, I'm going to make sure that there is, space around the pond, so that I can put plants in, and I can eventually have stuffs and things to just cover over it, because life will want to have coverage. So we had a little break because the battery on my phone ran out while I was in the process of putting the pond in, and I didn't notice until I came to talk to you about putting the pond in. So I put my phone on charge, and what I did was I went around the garden and I looked for some stones, and kind of surveyed what I had already in the garden to put around the pond. One of the things that I did do before, so a few of these things I brought with me from my old house. So what I will show you here is I have some, I think they're snowdrops. These had been dug up by some squirrels in my old garden, and they were just like on the surface of the earth. They were around the birch tree that I used to sit by, and I thought I was going to cover them up with soil, but then when I realised I was moving, I just put them in a pot and left them on the surface of the pot, and thought that it would be nice to plant. I didn't want to plant them in the pot and then dig them back up again, so I just left them on the top, and they've continued to kind of sprout. So I'm going to put these around the pond, because I thought that would be nice. I went and found some stones to put into the pond, because it's really good to have like some stones at the bottom, but also a stack of stones. So frogs really need some help to get out of the pond, get in and out. So if you can just have in one stack, in one corner, a stack of stones that comes up to the surface, or at least near to the surface, that helps the frogs not get stuck in the pond. What else? Oh, also I brought, we have a mirror that basically we've gone from a massive house to a smaller house, and so this mirror has nowhere to go in the house. And what I thought would be really cool was, I have noticed that in this area there are loads of birds, and what I don't want to happen is that the birds are sort of messing around with the pond. I want them in the bird bath. So I thought that if I put the mirror behind the pond, it would kind of scare them and deter them from going near the pond, and that way the frogs and the other things that want to be in the pond are safe, and the birds were more likely to go to the bird bath. And what else? Oh, I did find in the garden, oh my gosh, I found this beautiful piece of, I mean, it doesn't look as nice on the camera, to be fair, but it's I think it's some sort of pretty quartz. Anyway, it's beautiful. So I found that, and I also found in the video that I did for Walking the Pilgrim's Way, we were amazed at the stones. We couldn't figure out what they were. We tried to find out that a lot of the churches in Canterbury are covered in flint, and I have found what I think is a huge piece of flint. So yeah, that is going to be a nice little decoration around the pond, so I'm really happy about that. And yeah, so I'm going to get on with it. Oh, I have actually, before I finish, I have actually put the pond in. So if you want to see, and I've been pushing the soil around it just to make sure it's in there really, like really solid. These washing up bowls, they have a nice lip on them, so it does like kind of stop it from sinking in too much. So they're pretty perfect little ponds, really. Anyway, back to it. I do right now, as if you're wondering, so I'm trying to figure out whether to have the mirror lengthways or wideways. Lengthways or wideways. I would have put it horizontally, but I have noticed that just down here is a little holly stump. And because I don't want to put the mirror in front of the holly stump, because then the holly is going to be behind the mirror, and I can't put it behind the holly stump because the mirror will be too upright and there's a risk of it falling forwards, and I don't want that either. So I decided to go upways, which isn't my preferred way. I wanted it the other way, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. But I do want to encourage that little holly stump. It's so cute. Let me show you. Look, can you see? Let me see. Oh, there it is. It's tiny. So I want to encourage that to grow, because there is a little bit of holly somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but there's not a lot, and I do like holly. If I encourage that to grow, then we've got berries for the birds. So, and you know, holly, it's protective, it's good wood, it's good plant, it's evergreen, it's doing its thing. So I'm just gonna like dig a little trench in just to make sure that the mirror is in firmly. We don't want a health and safety hazard in the garden. And yeah, there we go. I'm stepping up into my pot to claim my royal throne. Even if I have to ditch connections, be alone. I'm an empress, the goddess, a high priestess. I have saved my snowdrops from the garden, and I have put them in just down the side. They'll do their thing. Hey, Robin. I've put the mirror in. I'm going to put some of the bigger stones behind just to keep that in place. I also have another stone that was with the fire. I mean, it's not as pretty as the stones that were in the fire pit, but it is one of the ones. It's the last one. So I'm going to put that kind of in front of the holly, I think, just to make sure, again, that mirror stays up there. I don't want it to fall down, especially if we have like a strong wind. So I am going to put that there just to keep that in place, and then I'm going to put the stones in the pond and just make my little bank, my little frog bank. As you can see, the stones that I found, they're not that pretty. They're just bits of brick, they're bits of concrete. It doesn't really matter, like, as long as you're making a bank for the frogs, it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect pretty stones. Shit, we'll be ballistic. We present to Gaia to assemble the collective to help them level up and to see a new perspective, the love and unity. Just gonna show you. I have this big pot that is filled. It's got ivy in it. It's got it's got ivy, and I think this is called sempervivum. I can't quite remember, but there's lots of these kind of like cool bits that come off of it, and it grows really quickly. It's really easy to take root. It's really like hardy, and it will create quite a lot of cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these out, and I am going to put some of these around the pond, again, just to create cover, just to, you know, make it safe so frogs have got somewhere to hide if they like freak out. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to take some of these out of here. I don't need to worry about it because it will grow, you know, that's what nature does, right? Don't have to be really gentle with this plant. In fact, I think it finds it quite insulting. It is so hardy, the roots are so good, it is going to grow like quite easily. It doesn't matter what I do with it, it's going to be fine. So I don't need to be like, trying to like be gentle with it. It just shove it in. Honestly, it will genuinely do its own thing. It will really create good cover around the pond. There's not really much. I do like a garden that, well, I mean, to be fair, like, if a garden needs too much attention, it's not a good garden. Like, you need to be able to leave it to do its own thing. Like, nature does its own thing. It does not need to be messed with. It doesn't need to be consistently like kept on top of. If you're having to do that, then there's something wrong with your garden, I think. So yeah, not to insult your garden, but in my opinion, you don't really want a garden that you need to keep consistently doing stuff with. It's going to be really important that there is kind of cover around this pond all year round. So the sempervivum, I think that's what it's called. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm pretty certain I've heard somebody call it that before. I don't tend to like memorize the names of plants because, my brain's got other things to do. But this is an evergreen. It will grow all year round. It's really easy. You don't have to be precious about it. If you want to like just pull some of it up and it gets a bit much, you just rip some of it up and you put it somewhere else or whatever, stick it in your compost, plant it up and give it to friends. The snowdrops here I've put in between here, so they're going to grow. Hopefully they will at least get something out of this year. They might be late bloomers, but they will, they'll come back next year. If not, that's fine. I've left a few of the wild strawberries down here, just, so they can do their thing, because they do tend to be here all year. I think there's a bit of land cress in there, which is edible, actually. You can put some stones around it, just so you're hiding the plastic. It will take on, you don't want to like make it perfect straight away. I think I have got some spare oregano over there that I am going to just pull up and put around here, just so, let me think, where could I put it? I might put it over there, actually. Yeah, that's where I'm going to put it. So, I have, like the pot that you've just seen with sempervivum in, I have another big pot like that with sempervivum and oregano. So I literally just took out a chunk of it. It's fine. Oregano will grow and grow and grow and grow. It's an amazing plant. Like, it is so good for your body. The oil's good. It's a good antibacterial. It's antimicrobial. Like, a lot of pests won't go near oregano. The herb is good in like food, fresh, in salads to eat. The flowers, oh my god, amazing to eat. You can never have enough oregano, in my opinion. Some people get like a bit arsey because it's like, it will literally grow everywhere. Like, but just pull it up, it's fine. Like, just pull it up, keep on top of it, keep harvesting it, use the flowers. Like, pollinators love the flowers. Oh my gosh, like, I can't recommend this plant enough. And if you want a garden that's gonna do itself, oregano is one of those plants that will do itself, like sempervivum. But also another cool thing, while I was in the pot getting my oregano, I found some cool stones that were literally just, I think I put them in there to just as pot cover, like while the sempervivum was growing, because it was only like a couple of tiny little plants, and it was like, oh, I'll put some stones there just to stop, just to keep the moisture in. But they weren't really doing anything other than taking up space this time, so more stones to go around my pond. Cool. I think I'm finished. I've really enjoyed making this, and it looks really pretty. I'm really looking forward to how it like evolves and grows and becomes its own thing. I'm not really that bothered about covering up the pond plastic. Like, some people don't like to see the colour difference, but as the plants grow, it will do its own thing. It will cover over the plastic. The water level will rise and fall like gradually and do its own thing. Don't worry about like if your doing bits of planting around it. Don't worry about little bits of soil dropping in there, because it will just all settle to the bottom. It'll become its own little ecosystem. The best plant that you can give to your pond is duckweed. It will oxygenate it. It will kind of stop it from freezing over to a degree. It's really nice for frogs because they can hide under the duckweed. They love it. It's really cheap. You can get hold of it like really cheaply, or if you happen to come across some duckweed, literally all you will need is like a teaspoonful. Put that in your pond, and over the summer it will cover the pond. Like, you don't need a lot, it will do its own thing. You can take some of it out, you can put it in other ponds. Like, it's an amazing plant. It, you know, that's what nature does, it grows. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So there you go. That's my little pond. There's me. Yeah, so all of this is going to grow. I'm not quite sure what I want to put in here yet. At the minute it's got sticky weed in it. It was just like a random pot that I didn't really know what to do with. It's not had anything in it, and sticky weed grew in it on its own. I have kept the little wild strawberries down here. They'll do their own thing. They will cover up all this area here. And there's my sempervivum. There's my cool flintstone and my quartz. More sempervivum. Sorry, guy, I covered you over. There's the oregano. That should all like come over here. There's the little holly guy. Can you see him? Say hey, holly. There you go. Hey, holly. And yeah, it's looking a bit murky at the minute, but all the soil that I've dropped in there, it will float down to the bottom, which is actually quite necessary, to be honest with you, because it does hold nutrients in the bottom. I don't know if you can see, here's my little snowdrops that I've planted. I'm hoping that they do pop up this year. If not, that's okay. They will pop up next year. And that's that. That like did not take very long at all. I'm so happy with it. I have utilised plants that I already had, so obviously, you know, if you don't have your own plants, ask around, ask your neighbours, ask your friends. So yeah, you've seen the pond. I am really happy with it. It didn't take that long at all. It probably took about an hour altogether. If that, maybe an hour and a half. I don't even think it took that long. Like I said, I have utilised plants I already had. You know, I have left a little nettle patch here actually, which I didn't show you, so that will do its own thing. But I will try and keep those short because you don't want them too high. But I mean, I suppose it does create cover to some degree. Oh, hang on, one last thing. I'm going to put that there just because it will hopefully deter the dog from drinking out of it, because she does like to have a sneaky drink out of the pond. I did have some things I put around in the old house, which I don't, you know, it was mainly like tall weeds and stuff and things to stop her from drinking from. But I will keep an eye on that and make sure that she's not drinking out of it. But yeah, there you go. I think it's even better now, right? I forgot about those. Yeah, but as I was saying, I did utilise plants from my old garden and plants that I already had, mainly ones that I don't have to maintain. They will grow quite rapidly on their own. They will create a nice cover. But if you don't have your own things, ask your neighbours. Like, quite often at allotments, they have like a surplus of things that they're trying to get rid of. People at allotments, they don't like waste, so they will quite happily give you their surplus plants. And that's it, really. I mean, yeah, easy peasy. There's the pond, part 3. That was all in one day. I've done the fire pit, done the mushroom bed. I've sifted through, no, it was part 4 technically. I've sifted through the soil, and I've separated that, and I made a pond. I've had such an amazing day. I hope this inspires you and shows you that you don't have to use a lot of equipment to like make a pond. It doesn't have to be a big pond. Better to have small ones. I'm probably going to make about 3 of these in the garden. I'm hoping to have one that's probably double the size of that somewhere, but another one about that size. So you don't have to spend like £150 on a pond liner. You can literally just get a washing up bowl from B&M, or another bargain store. I didn't want to like advertise, but you know what I mean, like a bargain store, or silicone tubs. There's another one you can use. You can utilize silicone tubs, amazing things to put in the ground, or use as bird baths. Again, I'll link in the description my bird bath. And I think I'm done for today. Yeah, thank you for joining me. I've had so much fun. Thank you for keeping me grounded and keeping me focused instead of like flashing around all over the garden. Technically, me making these, you've been my body double for today, so check out search engine body doubling for ADHD and autism, because it's an amazing tool. When you try to do things on your own, sometimes you tend to do the thing, flitting around. If you check out my fire pit video, I was just like, oh my God, I've got all these things that I want to do, and I keep flitting from one job to the other, to the other, to the other, and I've just got all these like sort of mildly started jobs. But because you've helped me by body doubling with me, I have focused and I've done 3 big jobs today, so I'm really happy. Thank you so much for being my body double. I really appreciate you. You've helped me tremendously. Thank you for joining me. I love you so very much. Messy fingers, my favourite kind. And yeah, get out there in that garden.